Welcome to a casual conversation about Code Geass, Lelouch of the Resurrection. My name is Donald Shults. I was the ADR director of the English dub for the film, and I'm joined by
Elizabeth Maxwell, voice of Shamna, newcomer to the series, antagonist or villain, depending on who you talk to.
Code Geass is like a historic, awesome, classic anime, and it's back. It's a show, everybody loves Code Geass because it's a show about identity. It's a show about who you are, why you make the decisions you make, and whether that matters. It's a show about the common good versus, needs of the few versus the needs of the many. And It's about sexy people and giant robots.
They are rather sexy.
There's a lot of hot people and giant robots.
That was a pretty good elevator pitch, Donald.
It's a fascinating show. So you love fantasy, sci-fi combo.
I would call this a sci-fi set in a fantasy world.
I appreciate that. That's an interesting little nuanced take on it. I think it leans more sci-fi for me, just because the Geass, it taps into like some spirituality and stuff, but it tries to tap, but like the show at large tries to take these ideas of like spirituality and magic and tie it into like themes about like sort of the social consciousness of all of us and how we're all connected in like a weave. And it almost
definitely
feels
more of like a sci-fi.
It almost feels like it tries to sci-fi up its fantasy elements, but I get what you're saying, where it's like a world and then it's like setting versus theme.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, what would you rather have, a mech or a Geass?
I would definitely go with a Geass.
I think I would too. I don't know if I know what my Geass would be though.
I know what mine would be.
What would yours be?
I would have the power to let people accept when they're wrong. Like,
okay.
I feel like so many problems in the world, I could solve them. I'm like Lelouch, I could fix it all. You just gotta let people own their mistakes instead of try to come up with 100 rationalizations why it's okay for them to be sort of bad in 100 small ways.
I'm gonna take what you said and I'm gonna anime rewrite it. Donald Schultz's Geass would be the power to absorb ego.
I sort of do that for sure. That seems, I might have that Geass.
What would my Geass be, Donald? We've worked together for years. I feel like I know you pretty well.
I know you're a person who talks a lot about time.
Yeah, I do talk a lot about time.
And how time is at a premium for you. You're a person who does stuff, but time is tight for you. Of course, sort of like your character in the movie. It would sort of involve time in some way. You should have a time Geass, is what I'm saying.
I do sometimes wish that I could just kind of pause time and pause what's going on so that I can take a break and just like take a nap, but not have it suck time out of my day, or that I can just like meditate or go for a swim and kind of like just press pause on my life, because I do feel like my life is very, very hectic. So Shamna, her Geass is very interesting. She has the ability to travel back 6 hours in time, retaining all of her knowledge. She must do so by shooting herself, which is pretty interesting and macabre. I really wish they could have delved into this small point where it turns out that Shamna's power has evolved to what it is now, and that it used to be that she actually saw into the future, not that she could travel back in time. And I feel like the kind of implications of why that evolution may have taken place is really interesting. And I think that there are like both kind of interesting, beautiful implications and kind of like sad, tragic ones, in that I can see, Shamna seeing events in the future, and I can see her kind of, feeling like she can't like just stand there and let these awful things happen, and she wants to take action. But sometimes action can turn into control and like a tight fist. And I think that's kind of the sad part of the dichotomy.
a theme in the movie to me that I noticed, and this is just my own interpretation, is Lelouch is a person whose history with his friends and the people he cares about is really troubled, and it's full of lying and deceit and conflict and ego and, these questions I talked about earlier, like these questions about am I doing this for the greater good, or am I doing this for selfish reasons? Is this the best way to do it, or is this just expedient and convenient for me? And does all my friends and family suffering, does it matter if it's for a greater good? And Lelouch's Geass, where he can tell people what to do, always sort of played into that. And I almost feel like there's a hint there of how Shamna's attitude changed, her outlook on the world changed, and seemingly her Geass changed to match that. And I wonder if that's not sort of foreshadowing of things to come in the Code Geass world, where maybe Lelouch can turn over a new leaf. And because in this movie, he kind of goes through a transformation. He's a little less inclined to just play it so close to the vest. He's a little bit less about secrets and lies and bossing people around and more about cooperation. And I think there's something there. Fan theory, that's just me. So Lelouch beat you.
Yeah.
He beat you though. As cool as your Geass was, he beat you.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
How do you think it makes me feel? It was a dirty trick, man.
I thought genuinely the way he sorted it out. I was the first time I watched the film, I was sitting there going I don't understand. I don't know how you could beat that. I literally can't. I cannot figure out how you solve that problem. And I thought it was pretty cool how he logicked it out, and it got to the point where it's I just gotta roll the dice. I'm at the point now where it's either one of these things, I don't know what it is. All I can do is just bluff and hope that it works out. It's hard.
I feel very mixed about it. It was, I know, this is kind of going off topic a little bit, but I will say it was interesting watching the movie all the way through, playing a character that is framed as a villain. I very much sympathized with that character, Shamna, and what she was going through. And so I was actually legitimately upset when Lelouch bested her, even though I know that technically he's the good guy.
Sure.
And it's interesting too because it's basically because her Geass is so powerful, he basically has to consign her to an eternity of limbo.
Yeah.
He can't kill her.
Yeah.
But he can't leave her alive to her own devices. So she's literally just stuck in conscious, unconscious limbo for the rest of eternity.
It's tragic. It's got a kind of fairy tale kind of tragic sort of romancy kind of sadness to it.
So the conflict in this movie is actually the thing that I personally found the most interesting because I find it actually quite relatable to a lot of the things that are going on in our world. Because it's a big old world and there are a lot of different people with varying interests, and what's good for one faction is not necessarily going to be good for another faction.
That's it's interesting. I think Code Geass a lot of the time in the past it's dealt with things that at face value seem like good versus evil, but Code Geass as a show likes to dig into that theme of well, sure, this is good versus evil, but how you go about that is a bigger question, I think, a lot of the time in Code Geass, and how people perceive you, and how you get things done in a world where you're doing something that's very unpopular or very scary.
And it's one of the reasons why I liked Shamna so much, because I mean, sure, playing straight up psychopathic villains can be really fun, but I think that playing, I had a lot of empathy for Shamna. Yeah. Because I do think that she is a good person. She cares so much about her people. She's very selfless. And I think that that's demonstrated quite a bit over the course of the movie. But at a certain point, you have to kind of go well, at what point do, the ends stop justifying the means, because she was using terrible ways to go about trying to save her people.
And Lelouch essentially says that to her at the end of the movie, where he's I've been down this road, I've done exactly what I I thought I could fix it all by telling people what to do and how to live their lives. But like, that don't work, dog. That's not a good strategy for success. She pays the second to most ultimate price, which is being in limbo.
Yeah, at least she'll get to meet her brother again, though. It's not very often that we get the chance to kind of really sit down and wax philosophical about the amazing shows that we're a part of. So thank you for joining us on this casual journey.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Hope you guys enjoy the film, and we hope that all of you stay with us for the future adventures of Lelouch and Co.